back to my channel today, and we are doing a brand new Sims 2 speed build today. And so today we are back better than ever in the wonderful world of Pleasantview. However, we are downtown Pleasantview where the night never ends and the lives are ever thriving. So I'm currently building an industrial modern home for a washed up has-been music producer that used to live in SimCity but is now trying to reclaim his fame, his life of music and producing for other artists who are up and coming. So his name is actually Franklin Charleston. I actually made him a couple of days ago before building this house, just so I can kind of get a look and feel of who he really was, where he's going to live, and how he was going to do things. And to be honest, at first it was going to be a community lot, like a music community lot where other Sims can come here and practice their music, build their skills, and kind of gain relationships among the other, Sims of Pleasantview or wherever you place it in your world. And to be honest, I thought that was not really fun and not really cool for me to build that. So I wanted to kind of have a story behind this. Hence why I kind of made a Sim named Franklin Charleston, a has-been washed up music producer back from the 90s, but he's now trying to reclaim his fame, his reputation, his fortune, and kind of the knowledge of the new era of music and where he can kind of see himself in the music industry. And this is where it comes into Pleasantview time, where I have a Sim who is actually the adoptive daughter of Don Lothario and Daniel Pleasant. Back in the olden days, if you don't remember, I did record a lovely update video. If you guys want to watch it, I will link the playlist down below in the description. But all in all, Sonya Dor Pleasant, she has grown up in the foster care system for the past 9 years of her life. And her, Sonya Dor and Ellie Pleasant, they're both related in a way, and they have the same last name, so they're technically sisters, but they were both in the foster care system, but they were years apart, where Ellie was one, almost 2 years old, and Sonya Dor was 9 years old. So they're very similar, close in age, but not close in age, if that makes any sense. But nevertheless, Sonya Dor, she has always found the love of music, dancing, the craft, the industry of the arts in general. And I kind of saw her that passion in her for the longest time when she was in the foster care system, thinking that, oh, she could make it into in the big leagues and do amazing things for herself, because her mom, before her mom passed away, her mom didn't give her up. Her mom passed away. The father was never really around. He was around when she was 2 or 3, but then he just left for some odd reason. I don't really know why. I still don't know why, and I'm still trying to figure out those questions. And to be honest, low-key, literally low-key, I have a feeling that Sonya Dor is a young adult, and Franklin's close to being 50, 60, no, 50 years old. And in my mind, I honestly believe that Franklin is Sonya Dor's biological father. I have a strong, a very, very strong feeling that Sonya Dor's father is Franklin, the washed up music producer, and that's why she's interested in music. I have a theory. It might happen. I don't really know, but I'll figure it out later. Nevertheless, moving back to my story. Sonya Dor, she has always loved music. She has always loved the arts, the music industry, that whole general genre of the arts. And so when she was growing up in elementary school, she kind of took the idea of ballet, dance, choir, stuff like that to kind of gain her knowledge of what it is like being in the industry. So she was able to get adopted early in her life, around 9 years old, from Don and Daniel, and they weren't really musically talented. They didn't really know anything about that, but they kind of saw that interest and that passion in her when she was around 10. So they kind of remodeled one of the rooms in their new home to give her that space that she needed. But at the time, it wasn't really what she technically wanted, because she was still trying to figure out who she was, where she was going to go, how she was going to do things. But she knew that she wanted to be in music or dance, one of the two. And I have to say that since growing up, not knowing who her real father was and not really knowing where she was going to go in life, and if she knew this was going to be her forever family home for the rest of her life, and it ended up being that when she got older, Dawn loved Sanyador through and through, loved her to death, and helped her through private school, helped her like with her skills, her social life, and kind of like gaining the insight of like what she really wanted to do, because she told Dawn that she wanted to kind of be like a ballerina or a dancer or some type of like singer slash like producer or whatever she wanted to do, something that revolved around the arts. And so what Don did, he kind of discovered this one random guy, not Franklin, but this one random guy, thinking, oh, if I put Sanyador through like this ballet class, she might, be able to make it into like the big leagues and like do amazing things later in her life. And it didn't really go as planned. It didn't go as planned as Don thought. And when he figured that kind of putting Sanyador in that environment, he didn't really think it was going to work out. So he kind of like stopped helping her pursue like the arts track, because Don was technically in the medical field and thinking, oh, Sanyador could, be a medical professional, be a doctor or a nurse or whatever she wanted to do in that medical field, and kind of trained her into that side of the business. And honestly, Sanyador actually kind of liked it, but still in the back of her mind, she was thinking, this is not what I wanted to do. This is not who I wanted to be when I wanted to grow up. And she honestly kind of resented Don for a while and resented Daniel at a time when she was growing up, thinking they don't really care about me. They don't really love me. They don't really want to really see me like pursue my dreams. But after Daniel left the house, I think that's when Dawn started to realize maybe this is like not the life that she wanted, because mostly Daniel was like pushing Sanyador and Dawn to do what he wanted, because ever since he got divorced, or like not divorced, since Mary Sue kicked him out of the house and kind of ruined his reputation, he was trying to like manipulate and persuade people to saying, you should do this because I think it's best for you. But it was evidently was more for him to pursue like his reputation and grow his business and his money and his fame, not more so others. And so I think when Daniel left the picture, Don became like more of like, okay, this is easier to understand. And because Daniel manipulated Don to manipulate Sanyador, saying, go into the medical field. It's what makes you more money. It makes you like do better things in life. And so, like I said, Daniel left the picture. Don became more clear of what he wanted in life, what he wanted for Sanyador, and rather than like what other people wanted Sanyador to do. So Don went back into like persuading and helping Sanyador back into the arts. And this is where we come into real time of 2020, where life is not great. But when Franklin came into the picture of the downtown era, he still is trying to figure out what he wants to do with his life, what he really wants to, how he wants to approach it technically. And so when Sanyador actually became into like her private school time around like 17 years old, she was like, hey dad, which is Don, I really want to kind of go out into the city and see what is out there for me, because at the time she was still in private school. She had a lot going for herself, straight A's across the board, and had a really like predominant life for her. But she still wanted to kind of pursue the music and thinking, do I really need to go to school to pursue my dream of music and dance? And in the back of her mind was like thinking, maybe yes, maybe no. Will my dad really love me? Will he like accept me if I do this or not? Like, I really don't know. And lo and behold, she didn't really tell him at all. So she went ahead and actually went to the city to kind of figure out if the city life was technically for her. And she stumbled across this one apartment, downtown Pleasantview, and kind of just stumbled across Franklin. And this is where we get into Franklin, like his life and why I'm building this like house for him. It's his new house that he bought off the market very, very cheap. And it's also like a very rundown-ish, soon to be renovated house. So there's like unfinished paint, weird patterns along the walls, and just random vents upstairs mostly. So it's like not really aesthetically pleasing, but it's what makes is what works for Franklin for now, for the time being, until he kind of gets his life situated. But moving forward, when Sanyadora kind of stumbled across his apartment, which is where Franklin lives at the current moment before he moves into this house, he saw Sanyadora thinking, why does she look like my ex, like my deceased wife Sharon? Sharon Charleston. And it was like, no, can't be. No, 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 no. No way, no how. People look like all the time. Doppelgangers, twins, stuff like that. So there's no way that could be my daughter whatsoever. Because he knew he had a daughter, and like he knew that it was like stuff was going on back then, and he kind of knew what she looked like, but didn't really technically know because people grow up, people change their facial features all the time. But when he saw Sanyadora and Sanyadora saw him, she kind of like knew, because at the time he owned like this random like small record shop downtown that is no longer in business because it just didn't work out. But when she stumbled across his work and what he did, she walked up to him saying, "Hey, I'm so and so, like I'm Sanyadora Pleasant. I live in Pleasantview in the main neighborhood. I'm looking to like kind of pursue this music career for myself." And like back then, Franklin was like, he was doing some stuff, but not really doing like all the producing things. Like he knew people, but didn't know what to technically like do, because he kind of lost those connections later down the line when he just was washed up and a has-been. And so Franklin was thinking, okay, I can help you, whatever you need. He has some business cards, but was actually like not the correct ones because the lines were down and people had their phones disconnected. Miscommunication among the people in the industry for Franklin. People didn't really like him. Not like at all. No one really liked him. So when Franklin gave Sanyadora the business card, thinking that, oh, this will help her, it'll like help her, get into the business and everything, not telling her that, oh, your life will be a lot of it'll take a lot of hard work, and there might be a lot of struggles, and there might be some downsides, some plus sides when getting into the business, like very early on. People might manipulate you, stuff like that. She didn't really care. She was like, okay, whatever, blah, blah, blah. She was smart, but like, she didn't really care because like she was young. She had her whole life ahead of her. She had a backup plan. So it was all good in the hood, all said and done. So when I believe around like a couple weeks later, Sanyadora went back to downtown, but found out that the record shop he owned is all, gone, and is now like a CVS or a SVS, a Sims convenient medical store where you get your, medicine and other knickknacks and paddywhacks. It's like CVS, but in The Sims. So when she found out, she went back to Franklin's apartment, talked to him saying, hey, you gave me some wrong information and I don't really think this is going to work out for me. I don't really know. Can you really actually help me? Gave him a second chance, thinking, get his life together and this might work. So Franklin decided to say, hey, okay, I can help you, but I don't really have a lot going on for me. I only have a microphone and a guitar. And she was like, okay, great. That's fine. That's all I really need. I have a good singing voice. I know how to play the guitar, the violin. Like she was classically trained pretty much by Don, because he did piano since he was a teenager and helped her pursue that type of skill growing up. And they went to events and stuff, and she won a bunch of prizes over the years. But when she told Franklin that she knew and she was classically trained and knew all the things, he was like, okay, I can give you a shot. Hopefully this works. And it did work out, but all the things kind of fell through in a very, very bad way. And so that's kind of when Franklin's reputation was really showing his true colors of he was a has-been, washed up music producer, recording artist, didn't really know what he was doing. He was out of the loop, out of the trend, just didn't really know the stuff that he needed to do in the 2020 era. Because he was hip hop and R&B and disco he was in the disco era back in the day. Not good. Disco is dead. And he was doing all different genres. He was multi-talented, but he did things back then that kind of pushed him in to the way of like being washed up. Like that one record deal that he got was his last one, and that was disco. And that was back in the 70s. And that's when like things were dead. Because he was born in the 60s, like 65, around that era. And things just, actually like 70, 80s, like he was like a young musical like person, and he was producing with his dad and stuff like that. And like when he was washed up for like the disco era in the 70s, he ended up actually becoming a record producer and, helping develop other artists. But that kind of fell through too, because what happened back in the 70s and the 60s, and, like, and his dad's reputation was on another level. Like he had high expectations of thinking that he'll be like his father, but that didn't work out for him either. So all the things that led to him today kind of made things worse for him growing up. And he's trying to kind of bring back a new era and a new sound of voice and a new sound of just in general to reinvent himself in the industry. And so like this is why I'm actually kind of building him this lovely home. It's very industrial modern on the outside. I try to make sure that this house was more industrial, where it's like unfinished walls, it has like vents up on the ceiling, it has like a Murphy bed, and like the structure of itself is just very random looking, and the landscaping's like not that lush and green and like, I'm trying to make it where it seems like it's downtown, very extra, very crazy looking, and I just want to make it look like he lives there. And that's why he also has like a fixer-upper car that he has to make himself, because he takes public transportation every single day at his dead-end job at the record store, because he still loves music, he has a passion for it, he has had it for all his life, but he works at a record store that used to be his own, that was a medical era, but it was a medical shop, but it was a record store across the street. Like his record store failed because another popular one showed up like a few years later, but was more popular than him, and then hence why his music business kind of was falling very, very quickly. And that, my friends, is basically the tea as of right now. So he is technically trying to figure out how he's going to get back on his feet in the music industry while still working at a record store and trying to find new voices to help him get that fame and reputation back up where he was. Mostly back in the 80s is where he was like in his prime time 80s, but now he's like, so he's like trying to get back to where he was before things kind of got ugly. So that's why he also has like this record producing studio downstairs. Like he has the setup that he needs, he has the drums, the guitar, the bass, the microphone, some little whatever that stuff is downstairs in his makeshift garage. And that's pretty much what he's doing right now. And as for Sonya Dor, she's still thinking about what she wants to do in her life as a university student, because she's now undeclared since she just recently moved into university at academic mature, but she still kind of wants to keep in contact with Franklin, if it all works out for her and what she wants to do with the rest of her life. And that's pretty much it. That's the tea. That's the story. I hope you all technically enjoyed it. If you guys want to download this build, I will leave a link down below in the description for you guys to check out on my Tumblr, as always. And yeah, I really had fun, and I can't wait to kind of share more builds and more stories with you all in The Sims 2, because this is my favorite game, and I honestly adore it. But nevertheless, I hope you guys enjoyed it, and I will see you guys all in the very next video. Bye!